Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about James Dean and the curse of his Porsche 550 Spider. This is a story I stumbled across and took quite a bit of interest in a few years ago. There seemed to be quite a few people who either didn't like this car or didn't want him to race in this car. It was a new car he just bought. Even Sir Alec Guinness, which I've got a clip of the video you'll see in a minute, warned him about using this car. And then from the point he died in it through till several years later, everything to do with the car just seemed cursed, and it's hard to kind of read it and see what happened and not think, it's a little bit strange. Dean died on September the 30th, 1955. He was only 24 years old. He only actually acted in 3 films, 2 of which weren't released until after his death. 2 weeks prior to his death, he'd made a road safety video to kind of talking to kids about, driving sensible, not driving fast on the roads. Yet on the day of his crash, it was estimated he was doing in between 85 and 100 mile an hour. This was in a 55 mile an hour zone. A few hours prior to this, he'd actually got a speeding ticket doing 65 mile an hour in a 55. At about 5:30 is when the crash happened. The crash site was a notorious black spot on Highway 46 in California. As he approached the black spot, a guy in a Ford Tudor, whose name was Donald Turnupspeed, funnily enough, turned across in front of him. Apparently Dean's last words were, "That guy has to stop." Of course he didn't. They had a head-on collision. Like I say, he was doing in excess of 85 mile an hour when he actually hit the car, so he was probably doing close on 100 mile an hour when he first braked. Apparently the collision was so violent that it threw Dean's car 49 feet into the air. Neither him or his passenger Rolf had seatbelts on. So the first clip I'm going to put on is Sir Alec Guinness being interviewed years later, talking about the first time he'd met James Dean, which is when he just bought the ill-fated Porsche.
You also met Dean, didn't you, James
Well,
Dean?
my very first night in Hollywood, I met James Dean. It was a very, very odd occurrence. I'd arrived off the plane, but those were, took a long time in those days, about 16 hours flight. And I'd been met by Grace Kelly and various people, but I found that I was alone for myself for the evening. And a woman I knew phoned up and said, "Let me take you out to dinner." And we went to various places, and she was wearing trousers, and they wouldn't let her in any of the smart Hollywood restaurants. Think of it, whatever it was, 1952, 54, something like that. However, we finally went to a little Italian dive, and that was full. And so one got turned away. I said, "Honestly, I don't mind just a hamburger anyway." I was hungry by then. And then I heard feet running down the street, and it was James Dean. And he said, "I was in that restaurant, you couldn't get a table. And my name's James Dean." He said, "Will you come and join me?" So we said, yes, very kind of him. And then going back into the restaurant, he said, "Before we go in, I must show you something. I've just got a new car." And there in the courtyard of this little restaurant was I don't know what the car was, some little silver, very smart thing, all done up in cellophane with a bunch of roses tied to its bonnet. And I said, "How fast can you drive in this?" He said, "Oh, I can do 150 in it." And I said, "Have you driven it?" He said, "No, I've never been in it at all." And some strange thing came over me, some almost different voice. And I said, "Look, I won't join your table unless you want me to, but I must say something. Please do not get into that car, because if you do," and I looked at my watch, and I said, "if you get into that car at all, it's now Thursday, whatever the date was, 10 o'clock at night, and by 10 o'clock at night next Thursday, you'll be dead if you get into that car." I said, "Oh, nonsense." So we went and had dinner, we had a charming dinner, and he was dead the following Thursday afternoon in that car. It was one of those odd things.
Has it ever happened to you before?
No, I'm glad to say. But it was one of those very, very odd, spooky experience. He was not, I liked him very much too. I'd love to have known him more.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, James Dean. Hi, Jimmy.
Hi, Gig.
We asked Jimmy over today because he's a racing man himself. A real one, not a crazy one. Incidentally, I think I should explain that Jimmy just stepped over from the set of Giant. And need I add, he plays a Texan. Speaking of racing, have you ever been in a drag race?
Are you kidding me?
How fast will your car go?
Oh, an honest miles an hour. Clocked, it could run about 106, 7.
Jimmy, we probably have a great many young people watching our show tonight, and for their benefit, I'd like your opinion about fast driving on the highway. Do you think it's a good idea?
A good point. I used to fly around quite a bit, you know. I took a lot of unnecessary chances on the highways. And I started racing, and now I drive on the highways. I'm extra cautious, you know, because no one knows what they're doing. Half the time, you don't know what this guy's going to do with that one. On a track, there are a lot of men who spend a lot of time developing rules and ways of safety. And I find myself being very cautious on the highway. I don't have the urge to speed on the highway. People say racing is dangerous, but I'll take my chances on the track any day than on a highway.
One more question. Do you have any special advice for the young people who drive?
Take it easy driving. The life you might save might be mine. You know?
Okay, let's get to the car and the curse of it. So first off, he meets Sir Alec Guinness. It's the first time he's met Guinness, and Guinness looks at the car. He feels the car looks sinister and has a bad feeling about it, and warns Dean that if he drives the car within a week, he'll die. And exactly 1 week later, Alec was right. Dean died in the car. Alec wasn't the only one who had bad feelings about the car. Ursula Andress, who was Dean's current girlfriend at the time, refused to even get in the car. Eartha Kitt and Nick Adams expressed feelings of unease around the Spider. When Adams verbalised his concerns to Dean, he was brushed off with, "I am destined to die in a speeding car." George Barris said the car gave him feelings of an impending doom. An actress of the time, Myla Nurmi, aka Vampira, was horrified when she saw the Spider, even going as far as leaving a warning note on the windshield for Dean. So there's something weird about this car. Lots of people are getting a bad feeling to the point where they're actually saying something about it. So originally, Dean was supposed to travel in a station wagon to the racetrack, and the car was going to be transported. But he decided to drive the car, break it in, get used to it, and obviously take the fateful journey. A couple of hours prior to the crash, he was pulled over doing 65 and a 55, and he was actually given a speeding ticket for this. After the crash, a guy named Barry bought the car for parts. When a mechanic was unloading the wreckage back at his garage, the car slipped off the truck and broke both the guy's legs. This is the start of what's now known to be the curse of the James Dean car. After this, a souvenir seeker tried to steal the steering wheel and ripped all his arm, cut all his arm wide open, and was quite badly injured from this. Once Barry started to sell off some of the parts, a physician who bought the Spider's engine was killed in a car race while driving a car that was powered by his engine. In the same race, another car, which had the Porsche's drivetrain, ended up rolling over. The driver of the vehicle escaped with his life just about. Another guy had bought the tyres off the car. They were racing tyres and they'd survived the initial crash. They were sold to a guy, a car enthusiast in New York. He put them on his car, went for a drive. The tyres blew out simultaneously and killed the driver of that car. After this, Barris was persuaded by the California Highway Patrol to let them use the car to take on tours to use as a display showing the dangers of careless driving. So the car was put into a garage for them to use and take with them on the exhibitions. The garage that the car was in caught fire the one night. Everything inside, including the whole garage, caught fire and was destroyed. The car, sat in the middle, was the only thing that wasn't destroyed by the fire. It bubbled the paint, that was about it. It was on display at a Sacramento high school. The car fell off its pedestal and broke a student's hip. Next, it was being transported by another guy. He lost control of his truck. It threw him from his truck, and as it did that, it also threw the car off the back, which landed on top of him and killed him. Then there was another incident where the car was on the back of a truck again. The brakes failed on the truck when it was parked up, and it rolled back and hit a car behind. There was no fatalities, but again, another incident involving the car. Rolf Wutherick, the mechanic who was riding with Dean when they had the crash, stabbed his wife 14 times in a murder-suicide attempt. He pled insanity, and then he later died in a car crash. I think it was 1981. Then, to finish it all off, the car, Barris had enough of this. There was too many accidents. He got the car. He ordered it to be shipped back so that it could just be parked up and left alone. It was put in the back of a container lorry. It went on its journey. When it arrived at the other end, they opened the back of the doors of the lorry. The car was gone. Nobody to this day knows where the car went, how it went, and it's never been found. So there really are some really creepy circumstances surrounding this car. Well guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I've thoroughly enjoyed researching it and putting it together for you, and I'll catch you on the next one.